Thanks for joining me on my walk with God. It's been an interesting walk for me personally, and I hope that your walk with God is as interesting. One of the things I have learned is that whenever I want to try something new, there are inevitable obstacles. Today, for instance, I was working in the garden, and I noticed that I had a problem with gophers. I can plant and nurture and carefully preserve a plant, only to find the gopher comes and takes the plant. That's an obstacle in my life. I found them to be everywhere. I don't think that life is easy, where it just falls into your lap. I know there are people who say that they've never had a conflict. I don't know whether I can trust those people because life is filled with conflicts. We found even in the life and ministry of Jesus, he begins his journey, and it's a walking journey. He walks from Nazareth to the Jordan River, and at the Jordan River, he's baptized. In his baptism, there's a voice from heaven, and the voice says, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." You would think that for Jesus, this would be the beginning of a sterling career, but it isn't. There's something he has to go through before he completes his journey here on earth. And we are told that he is driven by the Spirit out into the wilderness. And there Jesus walks, ponders, wonders what it's all about. And before he knows it, he is confronted by the devil. The devil puts before him three major temptations. Temptations, by the way, which are very similar to temptations in our lives. We don't begin a walk with God without conflict, without a need to overcome our doubts, our fears, our insecurities, our incompetence, our lack of knowledge. There are so many areas of life that confront us that we have to first meet. I know there are people who call me and they want help. They somehow have the idea that maybe with a simple prayer, God will step in and provide for them. Sometimes God, in an amazing kind of a way, does that. But in most cases, as I see it in my own life and in the lives of others, there are many things that have to be worked out. So in our walk with God, there are obstacles. Sometimes there are boulders in the path. Sometimes there's a stream that forces us to either jump over the creek, if there is a big stream, or find a way over, maybe get a boat. I have found that to be a characteristic of life itself. And it has truly been in my life. I've had many wonderful challenges in my life, but I find with every challenge, there is something that I have to work through. And I know in your life, it's also true. I would say, by way of caution, don't expect things to just happen automatically. We don't get rich by just looking up in the sky. In fact, maybe it's not a good idea to even get rich. But we don't earn a living without work. Sometimes learning the trade, going through all kinds of procedures in order to find the success that we want in life. That is true in terms of our relationship with God. It is not just there for the taking. Joshua found that to be true when he was ready to enter the promised land. They had already crossed the Jordan River. And we're told that they were told by God that there was a battle before them. If they were to take over the promised land, there would be wars. They would have to fight. There would be the loss of life. There would be struggles. And all we have to do is read the book of Joshua to see how true all of that was. The first big city that they had to conquer was Jericho. Now you would think that once God promised them the land of milk and honey, all they would have to do is just walk in and take it over. But that is not how it was. I read for you today a brief passage from the book of Joshua, and it's an interesting one as the people are ready to venture forth, to move ahead, to lay claim to this wonderful gift that God has given them. And it is repeatedly said in the scriptures, this is their inheritance. But the inheritance doesn't come easily. So I read today the opening remarks before the battle of Jericho. We listen to these words today. And the Lord said to Joshua, after he sees that Jericho was tightly shut up because of the Israelites, no one went out and no one came in. And God says, see, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and all its fighting men. That's the beginning of this amazing story of how the Israelites conquered Jericho. I've been to Jericho. Archaeologists have tried to find this ancient city that is referred to here in the Bible. I'm not sure whether they have ever located the exact city, but the way it was that God gave instructions in order to conquer the city. And the instructions were that the warriors were to walk around the city every day for 7 days. Preceding them, however, were the priest and the ark of God. And as they made their way around the city, there were trumpeters who blew trumpets. Now, this is kind of an amazing story, and I don't understand all the technicality of it, but this was God's way in order for them to conquer Jericho. On the seventh day, we are told that the people are to march around the city 7 times. The trumpets are blaring. And then at the right moment, not before, but at the right moment, the people are to shout with a loud cry. And when they do, the walls of Jericho come tumbling down. That might not be the way we win our wars. We fortify, we take every precaution we can with every conceivable piece of armament in order to overcome the enemy. But this was God's way. And maybe it was to prove the significance of faith. The people had to follow God's plan. I believe that's how it is with us today as well. If we're on this journey, and we all are, I hope you are, friends, that you've chosen to walk with God in your life. And you will find that there are obstacles in this walk. You might want a euphoric feeling, a great sense of ecstasy, complete victory. If you're sick, a miraculous healing, or if you are in some financial venture that will turn into tremendous prosperity and wealth. I know there are people who say that is how it is. It's easy. I've not found it to be easy. I found that God has a path for me to follow. And he has a path for you to follow. It may seem strange, walking around the city of Jericho 7 times, one day at a time. Doesn't sound very successful. And then on the last day to go around the city 7 times, and then have all the people shout, and then the walls come tumbling down. Maybe that's how we knock the walls down that seem to be in the way. We need to shout praise to God, hallelujah, whatever you can say, and also be faithful as God tells you what to do in his own mysterious and marvelous way. Then, indeed, the walls will come tumbling down. May God give you that success today and bless you. Thank you for calling and being a part of Walking with God.